Quite a lot of people who use amphetamines use it for more than one day. They might use over 2 or 3 days. Now, the effects of amphetamines are to wake you up. They're stimulants. You might get euphoria. They suppress your appetite. You don't want to sleep. Of course, after 2 or 3 days of that, you simply can't carry on any longer. So what tends to happen is, quite literally, people crash. You've not slept for many days, you've been high, you've been euphoric, you've not eaten very much, if at all. So the opposite happens. You end up very hungry, you can end up agitated. Clearly, you need to catch up in your sleep, so you're very sleepy. But often your sleep pattern's so disturbed that you don't get restful sleep. And of course, instead of being euphoric, you can end up being depressed. Well, usually for 2, 3, 4 days, they're not sleeping very well, they're feeling a bit agitated, they want to go out and have a good time again, so they go back to using the drug. Now, when that happens then over several weeks, over a period of time, a number of things can happen. Of course, your sleep becomes very severely disturbed, and if you can't sleep well, that creates all sorts of problems in itself. So you start taking amphetamines in order to feel more awake, and of course you can then end up becoming dependent on the amphetamine. There's a whole range of vulnerabilities that are more likely to become expressed if a person uses amphetamine. That doesn't mean they would have happened anyway. For example, there is an increased risk of stroke for some people who take amphetamine. Now, the evidence is beginning to tell us that's usually amongst people who have a pre-existing vulnerability, but if you're 24, 25, you might not know you've got that vulnerability, and it might never be expressed unless you took the amphetamine. Similarly, you might have a vulnerability to mental health problems, but that might never have been expressed if you hadn't taken the amphetamine. And of course, as I said, even psychologically robust individuals with no pre-existing vulnerability can experience quite severe, very severe mental health problems if they take amphetamine for long enough in large enough doses.
Seguimos con más información. La policía de México capturó a Jaime Herreras, alias El Viejito, un presunto narcotraficante de metanfetaminas, miembro del cartel de Sinaloa. En el mismo procedimiento de su captura se incautaron armas, 2 vehículos, equipos de comunicaciones y drogas. Este sujeto es considerado por las autoridades mexicanas como uno de los principales productores de metanfetaminas o hielo. Además, era uno de los mayores generadores de dinero para la organización del Chapo Guzmán, el hombre más buscado en México. Sospechan que los precursores químicos para la elaboración de las drogas provenían desde China y Guatemala. Jaime Herrera también es buscado por las autoridades estadounidenses por narcotráfico.
Sandra, así es, detuvieron a Eduardo Getters Arvide, es un corredor de autos de carreras de origen capitalino. Este corredor de autos fue detenido por la Interpol México en un autódromo en el estado de Puebla. Ahí fue asegurado y pues gente de Interpol nos comenta que fue asegurado por que así lo está exigiendo y pidiendo la DEA en Estados Unidos, aparentemente por la venta de anfetaminas. Fue capturado, fue asegurado en este autódromo donde se lleva a cabo pues un evento de carreras de autos. Él es piloto de una escudería importante, la cual se llama FICREA, Servicios Financieros, Bindo y Productos Naturistas. Fue detenido y ya fue ingresado a instalaciones de la PGR ubicadas en el Distrito Federal, en la zona de Camarones. Llevaba overol en color café.
Y como resultado de los trabajos de inspección y vigilancia que realiza la Policía Federal en las terminales aeroportuarias en el país y en coordinación con personal de la Secretaría de la Defensa Nacional, este martes se detectó en el aeropuerto de Mexicali, Baja California, una caja con cerca de 5,000 pastillas de anfetaminas. Esta droga fue asegurada después de revisar el área de paquetería, donde los policías federales inspeccionaban la carga del vuelo 7460 de una aerolínea comercial procedente de la Ciudad de México. La carga fue puesta a disposición del agente del Ministerio Público de la Federación, adscrito al aeropuerto de Mexicali, Rodolfo Sánchez Taboada, en Baja California.
Cuando pretendían viajar a Lima, Perú, con 220 pastillas presuntamente metanfetaminas, eso en el Aeropuerto Internacional de la Ciudad de México. La Comisión Nacional de Seguridad informó que la detección de la sustancia ilegal fue posible gracias a perros adiestrados y guiados por personal de la Policía Federal asignado a la vigilancia de la terminal aérea. El personal de la Corporación Federal realizaba el trabajo de inspección en la sala de última espera de la Terminal 2 del aeropuerto cuando el perro reaccionó al contenido de uno de los equipajes. En un lugar fueron detenidos los ciudadanos japoneses Sakurai Ikei y Minami Yuichiro, quienes se mostraron nerviosos al momento de la revisión del denominado binomio canino. Las 220 pastillas de colores blanco, naranja y amarillo estaban contenidas en recipientes de plástico, por lo que fueron puestos a disposición del Ministerio Público Federal de la terminal aérea.
A very common problem that I see at the Recovery Village is treating patients with cocaine and/or crystal meth abuse and dependence. These two drugs are so addicting, and there's a very short time where you go from experimentation to full-blown dependency. Some of the signs and symptoms you may see with someone who's using amphetamines and stimulants is that they're kind of hyper, very hyper. They oftentimes will go periods of time without sleep. For cocaine, it's so expensive that they maybe start selling away some of their properties, etc., to get more money for cocaine. For amphetamines, it seems to be much more readily available. People are making it, you know, in their garages, and that's scary because you never know what you really are getting. Actually, you don't know what you're getting with either drug. The problem with it is because they're stimulants, they rev up the body, and you can have complications such as strokes, heart attacks, which could lead to death. And so the other problem is because they're so addicting is people continue to use them and use them and use them. Medically, they become anorexic, not like an anorexic nervosa patient, but lose their appetite, and that in itself can have a series of health problems associated with it. Treatment at the Recovery Village for cocaine and amphetamine abuse is multifold. First, we clearly evaluate them medically, making sure that there's no medical complications from their drug use. The detoxification itself is really supportive therapy, and we really observe people, put them in a quiet place, let them crash, so to speak, from their high. Feed them, give them nutrition, because that's been oftentimes neglected, and then a few days later really try to assess what's going on, who do we have here. Oftentimes I'll see someone after they've crashed, they're very depressed, may have a lot of anxiety, a lot of shame and guilt afterwards, and so we really start on the therapies of what led someone going from a casual user or a non-user to a full-blown addict.